Hello everyone, I'm Harsh, a student at XLRI Jamshedpur, and today with us we have Mr. Prashant Mehra, who is the partner and Chief People and Culture Officer at Grant Thornton Bharat. He's a leader who has basically shaped the transition of Grant Thornton Bharat from a 50-member firm to now a leading global professional services firm. So thank you for joining us today, sir. And needless to say that our cohort is really looking forward to our conversation today and learning from your insights and experiences. So without further ado, I'll dive straight into the first segment of our conversation, which
Sure.
is supposed to be a rapid fire round.
Yeah. But before that, I'd just like to say something which you mentioned as part of my introduction, that I haven't shaped what Grant Thornton Bharat is today. I have helped shape that. It's always a team effort. If one person could make something possible, I think we would have more successful organizations than we have today. It's really the team effort which makes it win all or lose all.
I definitely agree with that, sir. So the first question that I had was basically, what is that one word which defines GT Bharat's culture and which sort of differentiates it from other firms?
I think that one word would be constellation. We are a constellation where there are so many stars, and every star shines on another one, and that's how we keep the constellation working. And some people would ask me that, why not a pyramid, which is a typical one. I mean, you can structure the organization as you like, but mindset has to be constellation. And frankly speaking, the constellation would last longer than a pyramid.
Wow, that's a very unique answer that I've heard in quite a while now. But yeah, I sort of agree with you, and that has also changed my perspective, is what I would say. So, what is that one leadership lesson that you would like to share with us, which you have learned the hard way?
I think I'd like to repeat. I had mentioned that this at the panel, that I joined Grant Thornton in December of 2002. It was a smallish organization, 50 people, largely doing audit and tax. I was the first person to start working on advisory. Things weren't working too well, and I resigned in March of 2003. And as part of my exit conversation, my CEO spoke to me, and I told him the issues, because I wasn't getting any cooperation from other people and was kind of a third grade citizen in the organization, because maybe I was disrupting the organization and bringing a change. I think so. He mentioned to me one thing. He said, um, whenever you need to take a decision, as long as your instinct says go for it, as long as it is in the interest of the firm. And third, if you're willing to take accountability for it, just go for it. And after that, if somebody asks you, better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission, because the world will not be open to change. But once you've made that change happen, uh, if somebody feels that it was not in line, you can always ask for forgiveness. I think that's probably the one leadership lesson that I'm adapting till today, even though today I am the Chief People and Culture Officer and frankly can make whatever happen in the firm. But still, whenever I think that this is out of the ordinary, but it is in the interest of the firm, my instinct says this will work, and I'm willing to take accountability, I just go ahead and do it. And then when you ask me why did you do it, I say sorry. And after that, you don't really have anything to say, because it was the right thing to do.
Right. Makes sense. Just building onto that question, these days we talk a lot about innovation and, in fact, disruptive innovation. So, do you think, and not just in GT Bharat, in general, in workplaces today, do you think that when you have out of the box ideas and we're actually trying to make some meaningful change with maybe the company or the world is not ready for, do you think there are obstructions? And if there are, how do you deal with that?
Obstructions is it's human behavior. Anytime somebody, when you're going on a motorway, somebody tells you please take the detour because there's traffic jam ahead, it's the right thing to do because there is a traffic jam ahead, please take the detour, but it upsets you. So that is what it is. But I think we all learn to deal with that. But I can tell you that if the disruption doesn't happen, if innovation doesn't happen, then you risk being obsolete. And we've seen organizations go that way. We've seen Kodak do that. We've seen BlackBerry do that. We've seen Nokia do that. Closer to home, Hindustan Motors.
Right.
So yes, they were all not open to change, and we all know where they are today.
Right. Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So the next question that I have is, what according to you is more important at workplace, and especially, I mean, your personal view on it, empathy or efficiency, and how, if the one thing that you say is important, how do you balance both of this? Because both are important elements to sort of succeed in a workplace.
I think both of them are important, but I think it really goes hand in hand. I wouldn't want to choose one over the other. I think if there is empathy, um, then with empathy, somewhere you're also demonstrating trust, and when you trust somebody, that feeling is accepted, and if that is accepted, that there is that pressure on you and expectation of your performance, and you're empowered to do that, efficiency will automatically come. So I think while empathy is something that is necessary, and efficiency will be the outcome as long as there is empathy. And if it doesn't happen, then who asks you not to go to the conventional way and cut the cord off?
Makes sense. So it won't be wrong to sort of conclude that we shouldn't look at both of these in isolation. And in fact, efficiency, you say, is a byproduct of the human emotions at play.
Absolutely.
Right. So makes sense. And just an extension to the same question again, what do you sort of prefer at workplace? Is it structure or is it flexibility?
Is it structure or is it flexibility? No, I mean, there needs to be, even if people who say that they like chaos, they have a way of defining it. They call it organized chaos. So I believe that, there should be flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
As long as there is flexibility, you will continue to innovate. And when you've innovated and you've decided what to do, there has to be a structure to achieve the intended objective. If there is flexibility around that, then things will go different ways. You should always stop, introspect, and see if there are any steers to be done, if there are any course corrections to be done. I wouldn't call that flexibility. I would call that making sure that you're going for the right object. The intended objective will be achieved with this. But it needs to start with flexibility of ideas, and then there needs to be a structure to achieve that.
Right. So I think, as they say, there has to be a method, but the madness, but there has to be a method to that madness as well.
Always.
Right. So I would like to now move on to the next segment of a conversation where I would like to know, your insights on varied topics, and it would sort of range from culture and leadership to talent and the future of work. So the first question again here in this segment is, so in most of your articles and even the fireside chat that we had some time back, I think there was this one central theme that culture is a strategy, right? So has there been an instance, or would you take a decision at this point in time at a company to sort of purely preserve culture, even if it comes at a cost of short-term business cost?
Yes, we've done that. The pandemic was announced in March of 2020, and we announced on the 1st of April 2020. We said that our policy is people over profit, and anybody in the firm today, unless they're already on notice period, will not lose their job for the next 6 months. So please don't worry about losing your job. Please continue to do what you do. Take care of your work and take care of yourself, take care of your families. We took the fear of them of losing their job. Did it have a financial implication? Absolutely. It did have a huge financial implication, and we didn't know where this will go. But we said that, we need to take care of our people. And that is the primary objective then. Fortunately, things worked out. And I think what we were met with, because we trusted our people, and going back to the earlier point around empathy and efficiency, I think those 6 months probably had the highest level of productivity in our organization.
Right.
Because there was no fear which people had. They knew that they were trusted. They knew that they were taken care of. So we let our culture lead there, not business sense. Did it ultimately make business sense? It did. Absolutely.
In fact, that was the second question that I wanted to ask, in fact, that I think in such cases, what happens is that even if you take a short-term hit, it sort of helps it helps the company thrive in the longer run. I think that's exactly what happened with GT Bharat as well.
Absolutely. Right.
Makes sense. So, sir, GT Bharat has been vocal about creating humane workplaces, right? So what are some tangible practices and rituals that help maintain those ethos as the firm sort of scales, especially?
I think, a lot of our learnings, Harsh, has come from the pandemic. I know all of us have had tremendous financial, personal losses. But as I say, that when you're down and out or during failure is when you learn the maximum. And I think we took a lot of learnings from the pandemic. Just after the pandemic, or in fact during the pandemic, which is on the 1st of January 2021, we introduced what we call Ultra Flex. Ultra Flex in what we wear. So please dress as appropriate. I mean, if you sitting at home and I'm sitting in the office and we need to have a MS Teams or a Zoom call, why can't you be in comfortable clothes? If you're coming to the office just to for internal meetings, why can't you be in comfortable clothes? If you're going in meeting a tech company, why can't you be in a jeans and a t-shirt?
Right.
Yes, if you're going to meet a bureaucrat, you probably need to be in your suit. So things like that. So we said, please, we put the responsibility of how to dress yourself up in people. So Ultraflex in clothing, Ultraflex in terms of how you work. We don't tell you to come to office. We don't tell you to sit at home. We don't tell you to go to the client. You decide where is it that you need to work. You don't come to the office just to flash your card and show to everybody that you're here. We don't need that. We trust you. Work towards being more productive. So, and we call that work from anywhere. We don't call it work from home. We call it work from anywhere. And anywhere could be that, I've got guests at home. I'm just going to the cafe nearby and working there for 3 hours. Please do that. Be your own boss. You can't tell people that, we expect entrepreneurship and we expect self-accountability and we expect the world from you. Please be your own boss. And then we tell you, do this, do this, do that. No, dress as appropriate, work as appropriate, from wherever appropriate. And the third thing we did was, which was again to do with that Ultraflex theme, was around unlimited leaves. So he said, the government says that you need 12 leaves. Our policy says you need 18 more, so 1 month of leave. No, why? If somebody is getting married, that's something which is very important, right? Do we expect people to say that, it's 6 o'clock, I need to go home? They do work for 4 hours more, right? If something comes up on a Saturday, you expect them to show up. Then if they need additional leaves, why won't we? So we said unlimited leaves. There's no why. You want to take 3 months off, take 3 months off. But you have a certain responsibility. That responsibility needs to be covered. As long as, of course, there is no empathetic situation in terms of medical emergency or things like that. But otherwise, you decide. You don't want to work on a Monday because you got something at home, or you probably have a hobby for which you need to devote yourself time on Monday. That's okay. Work on a Sunday or a Saturday. You decide. Right. So of course, we've kept it hygienic that, please have a conversation with your, we don't call reporting manager, reporting partner or whatever, we call it coach. So please have a conversation with your coach and agree to it, that this is what, plan it out, and then take as many leaves as you want.
So, on a lighter note, all we can say is you basically are treating adults as adults. Like take that responsibility, have that accountability, and we are giving it the freedom, and we're treating you as an adult. You do what you want to do, and obviously we'll evaluate it on the
let's go to the smallest level of entrepreneurship in this country, which is probably a hawker outside on the road.
Right.
Please go and ask that person that, does he speak to anybody on what he wears? Does he speak to anybody on his timings? Does he speak to anybody on when does he take a holiday? He decides, or she decides. Why can't you do that for your own people? As long as the purpose is achieved. I think we're just trying to make the world more complicated and a cookie cutter approach that, one size fits all. We talk about innovation, we talk about differentiation, but we don't treat different individuals differently.
I absolutely agree with that. The next question that I have is, how do you operationalize the saying that work should energize and not exhaust? And that's a belief that's stayed in GT Bharat, right? So how do you sort of operationalize this, especially in a performance-driven organization? Because at the end of the day, it's business, right?
Absolutely. And I think where we all started with was that maybe just after the pandemic, when work was a little bit exhausting, we still weren't out of the pandemic and things were happening. And we started becoming more and more conscious of work-life balance. Mm-hmm. I think those are the 3 most idiotic words that I've ever heard. Not because I'm a workaholic, and also not because that I'm like to have free lunches in the world, because I think this is something which is just not possible. and you cannot dictate a work-life balance to anyone. And very recently, I was asked this question that what does work-life balance mean to me? And I just had a simple answer. I said, it means that I'm not in front of my laptop. Currently, sitting with you having this podcast, is this work? It is work. I'm representing my organization. I'm not a celebrity Prashant Mehra as such. You've called me in the capacity of partner and chief people and culture officer of Grant Thornton. So it is work for me. Right? But I enjoy it. So what I said was that I think all of us need to work towards work-life integration. Going to the gym in the morning, is that work? Why not? Because your organization expects you to be medically fit for work. So why isn't that work? That is also work. That's exactly what I call work-life integration. So yes, being the slave of a laptop is really something which is conventional work for me. But I'm responsible for talent acquisition. If I go and meet partners and speak to them and have a discussion, interaction on would they like to join Grant Thornton, this is what we've got to offer. Meeting a client, I enjoy meeting people, talking to my team, doing this podcast with you, going and doing a panel. There are so many things which are all work conventionally, but I said, no, I love doing this. And that has what shortened this for me and brought me to the definition of work-life integration. I was in Italy last month, dropping my daughter off for her college. I met some interesting people there, and we started having a work conversation. And long story short, my organization may be pitching to that company for something. I met them during a holiday. That was fun or life, but work happened. So I think the sooner we all realize that we should start integrating life and work is, I think, probably the best solution. And for that, I'll go back to my thing that I mentioned at the panel also. It's very important to bring your heart to work. If you can't do that, then you won't be able to last too long. And when you do that, work-life integration becomes even easier.
So are you sort of in a way also trying to say that, you're sort of exhausted and your work-life balance goes for a toss when you're not sort of interested or passionate about the work that you do?
Absolutely. And I think that's where the challenge comes.
So it's not to do with the number of hours that you're spending. It's
No,
only to do
it's
with
not.
the kind of work that you do.
It's not. Do you like OTT? When stuff what comes on OTT?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Do you relate to the term binge watching?
Yeah.
Why don't you get exhausted with that?
I enjoy learning.
Exactly.
Passionate about it.
That's the thing. I'm sure, looking at your schedule today, you're probably doing a dozen podcasts recordings, right? It seems you enjoy doing that. It will be physically exhausting, but you enjoy do that. So you don't take it as work as such. You take it as, okay, I love it. So even though it may be stretching my work hours a bit, but I like it. That's really what work-life integration, bring your heart to work, and work-life integration becomes becomes a reality.
Right. I mean, that was very relatable, and I completely agree with it. The next question that I have is, so leading both like people and operations mean balancing empathy with execution. That's something that I've already asked before. So where, according to you, I mean, these two worlds clash most often, and how do you balance them? How do you sort of reconcile and resolve them when there's always a conflict between sort of execution and empathy?
Operations don't land up like God's gift to you. People make those operations. So when you realize that people are finding it difficult to work around those operations is the time that you probably need to revisit what is it that you're really doing. And that's where innovation becomes extremely important. I don't think that businesses are run and grown because of operations or because of any policies or processes. Businesses are grown only because of making those exceptions. And then when you realize that making this exception needs to be the norm because times have changed is when you revise those operations. So, it's very convenient to blame that, oh, I am not efficient because of this operation. I mean, go ahead and change it. Now, if people say that, or find a way around.
So in a way, sort of as a person or as an employee, I have to be I know you don't like the term employee,
Yeah.
but as someone who's working in an organization, you want people to be more proactive about what's bothering you and make that change.
More than proactive, I would say people need to be self-accountable. And let me tell you something that you stay at Jamshedpur, you have a flight to catch from Ranchi, you know how the roads, traffic, everything are. It's a 2-hour journey from here. You'll probably leave 3.5 hours before, right? That just in case there's a flat tire, there's a roadblock or anything, right? Now all those things are gravity. Condition of the roads is gravity. Traffic is a gravity. Weather is a gravity. But you work around those operations and processes to make sure that you land on time. Why? Because you're self-accountable. So I think the moment we all start demonstrating that self-accountability is when operations is not something that will be an obstacle, but it will be an enabler for you to achieve the intended objective. And if they become an obstacle, please go ahead and change it. Voice it, put up your hand, take accountability, and move ahead.
Makes sense. I'm also really enjoying how you're relating the answers to those small little things of everyday life. So yeah, the next question that I have is, so as I already mentioned, you've joined GT Bharat when it was a 50-member firm. So what's the most defining decision that you've taken in scaling it to where it is today in your personal capacity?
I think I would say two things. One probably goes back to almost 20 years. So way back in 2005, 2006, we were still a very small firm and there was a large opportunity that we were pursuing. And I mean, because we're a global organization, there's a thing called, you need to run a global conflict check, especially for international organizations, to make sure that you're not conflicted with them to provide this particular service. And when we did our conflict check, we realized that there was one small country which was giving them some service valued at $10,000, which was conflicting what we were trying to do with the company in India. And our service was valued at a few $1 million, which was a lot of money then. It still is now, but considering how small we were then, it was a lot of money. We took the collective call of going to the client and telling them, sorry, we won't be, I know you like us, we like you, but we won't be able to do this for you because we conflicted. It was an age where digital wasn't there. We were still in paper form, and this was all international. Our client said, tomorrow if the regulator comes behind us, firstly they won't, but even if they do, I'm sure they can make an exception. And by the way, why would they get to know that one country had done a $10,000 job? And so don't you think that because of that $10,000 job you're giving it away? We said, we really value our sleep, we like to sleep well at night, and we like to be honest to our clients, to all our stakeholders, whether it's our client, whether it's our regulator, or whether it's our people. So just in the garb of a few $1 million, we won't want to risk our ethics and our work culture. And I think that was a defining moment. It feels good when you take a stand, you become the bigger one, because money will come and go. But what you're proud of at that is that I think I've defined my principles and I've defined for myself what I will never do. And it was that day and it is this day. I think all of us who were part of that organization then and are still part of now, we don't shy talking about it. We're so proud of us that we've always kept ethics before anything else. We have not compromised on that. And I think that's very, very important for an organization, especially which is an accounting consulting organization on which there's so many people that rely on. So that was one moment. I think the other was, again, going back to the pandemic, our partners' insurance had to be renewed, and in May of 2021, and I was to make a decision on the renewal, and the premium went up 3 times. You at a time when your anyways business is down, costs are going up, you don't know where the world will go, you've got almost a necessary cost going 3 times, so it's an easy decision not to go for it. And I called up my CEO and I said that we need to take this decision. He said, do what you think is right. And I was new in my role. It was a very difficult decision. Do I choose curtailing expenses, or do I choose something which is important, which is partners insurance? And I chose the latter. 3 days later, we had a partner going to Jaipur who died in a road accident. Not because of the pandemic, but died on a road accident. Uh, uh, when I presented the insurance check to his wife, she didn't know what to do. She said, "I never expected something like this. This was obviously so sudden. It was not a very old partner; it was a young partner. So this was extremely sudden. I just can't thank Grant Thornton enough." So I'm sure even if I ask myself that question, maybe that was not the right thing to do from a financial perspective, but I think I chose people over profit, and it worked well. Uh, every partner, every person in the firm, because of what we did, had a lot more faith and trust in us. And when people do that for you, you just take one more step to do a bit more for the organization, and that always helps.
Right. So what I can sort of make out is the fact that behind all the decisions that you've taken in the past, you've always kept people at the center.
Always,
Right.
always, always kept people at the center.
Right.
I don't think so. You need to. If a service organization doesn't understand that its only indispensable asset are two things, which is the brand, and the second is the people. I don't know who else will understand that thing.
But like for example, for people like us who are not there at the top yet, our understanding of the world is that the world is run by financials, right? So you are there. How sort of how is it that you're able to define or sort of justify your decisions at the top? I mean, is empathy a thing that sort of runs top to bottom, and it sort of develops when you're at the higher position, or is it something you have to convince people, especially when you're at the top?
Uh, my grandmother used to say that, and she was from a very humble background, uh, uh, and she came from a very humble background. She died a very rich lady, so she had seen everything, and she said that, uh, if money is not God, it's not less than God as well. So I think let's just close that debate about how important is money. Money is very important. When we say there is people at the center, we also talk about high performance growth. We also talk about profitable growth. All these things need to be taken in tandem. What's the point of taking care of you when I don't have the money to take care of you?
Right.
Okay, and who gives me the money? We together make the money.
Right.
Empathy was taking that decision to ensure our partners' lives. But if there is no money, my empathy goes in the dustbin. And I think people also, which is why I say that, with all this, what is primary is integrity and self accountability. And if people or everybody starts acting with that, then I think that decisions become much more easier. The money comes in a lot more easier, and growth obviously happens. And if I find anybody that who is not able to grow in the organization, we have an honest conversation with them that it's not you, it's not us, it's just that the marriage doesn't work. So why don't forget about you? Why don't we find you a place somewhere where you can grow, where your talent and your capabilities yield better results? Because here we won't be able to give you that growth.
Makes sense.
And let's not, don't treat us as a motel. We want to be a home. So if you're not able to give you that home, then you might as well change.
I think this was also a very good lesson in sort of business and ethical dilemmas, and I think you answered it really well. So yeah, I think this is the last segment that we have, and this is the conversation. I would basically attempt to sort of pick your brains and get some valuable advice for also my peers at XLRI. So there were two questions that I have. Firstly, what has been your steepest learning curve while sort of transitioning from advisory to people leadership role? One thing that you would want to share with all of us that we should also keep in mind when we are working or entering the corporate world.
Yeah, I think that when it's very ironical that when we're young, we don't ask too many questions. We are made to listen more, right? We have a keynote speaker. We got Prashant Mehra coming from Grant Thornton. Please give him 1 hour and listen to him. And you know what we'll do back to you? We'll give you 20 minutes to ask any questions. He can speak for 1 hour. You, 200 of you, will get 20 minutes to ask him questions. So what are you making them do? listen more, talk less. And as leaders, we talk more, listen less. I think this needs to be reversed. This needs to be reversed. So my advice to you or anybody from your peers is that please ask as many questions as you want. Don't hesitate to ask questions. And I would say you are already a leader in your own way. But as leaders, you need to start listening more and talk less. Follow the KISS methodology as far as talking is concerned. Keep it short and simple. It's also favoring the generation because they're used to Instagram 30-second reels. But at the same time, spend more and more time listening. You know what's the beauty of listening? If you're listening to the world's biggest problem, the moment you've heard the problem, it's 50% diluted already.
Because you've sort of understood it really well and maybe interpreted your version of
It's out there and it's out there now. The problem is out there for everybody to solve. So it's not just your problem now. It becomes everybody's problem.
That's
Right?
makes sense.
So yeah, that's what I would do. I think leaders talk more, listen less, and youngsters who are early in their profession talk less, listen more. That needs to be reversed.
So the second question that I have is, if you were to start your career now in 2025, as opposed to what you did 20, 25 years back, a lot has changed, yes. But if you were to start your career now, what is it that one thing that you would do differently in terms of maybe ethics or your working style, or maybe, even certifications and for that matter?
I would say that, and I think I don't know this. I wish this realization I had earlier. I think I have pressurized myself a lot for fake deadlines because I'm telling you, the world never comes to an end. So when somebody tells you you have 2 days to do this, especially your clients, it's okay. Do your best, but don't compromise on the quality. Because if you go down on quality, if tomorrow somebody tells you that please do not hire this firm because they delivered pathetic quality, you will not hire that organization. But if tomorrow somebody tells you, if you're hiring this organization, please beware because they will say 10 days and they will take 14. I don't think so. That will be a reason for you not to hire that organization. Right? So I think I've given my teams too much of pressure because of superfluous deadlines. I probably wouldn't do that again. I would make sure that I do quality work and I don't compromise on timelines, deadlines too often. Yeah. That's one thing I would change. I would have been more at peace and mentally more fit if I wouldn't have gone running after deadlines.
I sort of agree with you, sir. Like, I was working as an associate consultant. In the hindsight, it always feels like when I was an associate, I shouldn't have taken that much of stress. This was fine. I could have done away with a day or two.
Exactly.
I could have delivered quality. But when you're in the moment, I think you're always anxious about the deadline. That okay, 12 o'clock, I have to submit this, I have to give that. And even in college these days, that okay, 12 a.m. submission has to go at 11:59 or something like that. So how do you sort of overcome that anxiousness? Because now when you're wise, that position, when you look back, you sort of understand that okay, I shouldn't have done that. But when you're not wise, when you're at the early stages of a career, you're always sort of anxious because you don't know that what the repercussions could be or the consequences of that delay could be.
Have the conversation because 90% of the times you will get an extension. But I think the fear of rejection is what keeps us from not having that conversation. And I'm telling you, that the client would understand. I mean, I can understand that, if you've been given a lot of time, you've been careless and not done something, procrastinated, done things only at the last minute. I don't think so it's justified for you to get an extension. But if there's a genuine reason or you've been given a short timeline, and but otherwise, I would say don't promise something that you cannot achieve. So when somebody says, can this be done in 3 days? Yes, but a second grade. You want a first grade? Give me 2 more days. And let the client take a choice. And if the client says, okay, I want second grade, but I won't give you 2 days, just say that's not harsh. Brand it then. I won't do it.
So I think your priority is always quality.
Always quality. Always.
That definitely.
I would pay for my own pocket because I'm putting my brand out there,
Mhm.
and money will come and go. But if the brand gets diluted because of a bad reputation, believe me, it can take you decades to recover that back, and no amount of money can do that for you.
Right. I agree with that. So these are the questions that I had. Thank you so much for the thoughtful and sort of relatable conversation. That was really fun. I think that one concept that you talked about, I mean, sort of replacing work-life balance, that word work-life balance with work-life integration is something that's going to stick with me, and I hope to carry it with me when I sort of enter the corporate world. So thank you so much, sir. It was an absolute pleasure hosting you here and even at XLRI.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.